Hey everybody, welcome to She's Smart, the podcast where we connect, learn, and laugh with incredible women who inspire us with their journeys, passions, and expertise. I'm your host, Maria Robotham. On today's episode, I have Ashley Langer, a powerhouse community builder, event strategist, and networking expert with over 15 years of experience. Ashley is the founder of Business Socialistas, a platform that helps businesses elevate their brands, foster thriving communities, and connect on a deeper level. Ashley's all about turning connections into collaborations, and today she's sharing her journey, her strategies, and the power of building a strong community. So get cozy as we connect, learn, and laugh together on She's Smart. I'm good.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you said yes and that you're here, because I know you in a way, but I don't really know you because we just started knowing each other in the last couple of years when you started Business Socialistas.
Although I feel like I've always known you.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I feel like we're friends.
Well, we are. We are. Even though we don't get to see each other much.
I do feel connected to you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want you to feel connected to me. That's important.
Yeah.
You have a way of doing that with people, though.
That's
like
nice.
In general, you're just very warm and present when you're with people. You're not one of those people who, when you're talking to someone, they're like, I'm gazing my eyes over for those who can't see me. Like kind of looking for the next person to chat with.
Yes.
You're not like that.
Thank you.
It's a very endearing thing because not many people engage that way. What you do, because you literally bring people together constantly.
Yes.
So I would think that in your mind, you're like, okay, we got to talk to this person, but you don't come across like that.
Thank you. And it's funny because I feel like Business Socialistas is truly like an arm of me. It's just part of me. It's a business that started easily and almost by accident, just because it is an extension of who I am.
I was reading another article that you were in because I do a little background. I'm not an investigative journalist, so let's be real here. I go like 3 steps away from you. And in the article, you mentioned that you, on a whim, moved to New York City and became a personal assistant. Can you give us a little background on what that whim was?
Yes.
And a little bit about what you did, because I think it really serves you in what you do now with events and everything.
In January 2007, worked at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut for over 2 years. I started as their maitre d' in the steakhouse. This is when it was like the hottest place to be.
Amazing.
And then I was their accounting assistant. So after I graduated college, I became their accounting assistant, and I used to count cash literally in a closet. And like...
Did you have the machine to do it?
I had the machine, and it was all sorts of reconciliation and the player points, and I had to find the discrepancies if there was any.
Were you tracking like the big rollers and stuff?
Yeah. Well, not as much, but that's part of it just because they do more with points and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was like accounts payable, accounts receivable. So I did that, but my days off were like Tuesday, Wednesday, because during the week it's a high time at the casino. I couldn't have those days off. So I used to work literally 9 to 5 during the weekends. And then sometimes I would just stay and work the door, help plan events. It was kind of like the maitre d'. I can't work weekends anymore. I'm over it. I'm over the casino life. I started working for a bank as a regional assistant, helping oversee a group of bank branches. I worked there for 3 months and they laid me off. They were like, first in, first out. We're redoing the company. We're really sorry. And I was like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? I had a friend who who had recently moved to New York City. She's like, why don't you come and you can stay in my apartment? I was like, okay. And even though I had only worked for the bank for 3 months, they gave me a severance package of a couple months. I think it was like 3 months. So it gave me the flexibility because it's a job finding a job. So I was like, okay. I left my apartment. I moved to New York City. I lived in bunk beds.
Amazing. Got to do what you got to do.
And as wide as the bed. You could almost touch
both
wall
sides.
To wall.
Yep.
And then I searched for a job. I got a job as a personal assistant for a news anchor in New York City. It was a cool job. I didn't work out of her home, but her husband owned a private equity company.
Okay.
And so my office was in the private equity company.
A nice office then.
Yes. So I had a nice office. I had office life. I had office perks. I had a 401. I had a bonus, like all those things that you don't usually get in a personal assistant position.
Yeah. I love this parallel. We have so many parallel things that have happened.
Were you?
I was a personal assistant. It was my first job when I moved to New York City. I lived with my best friend in her apartment with 3 other roommates, and I slept on the couch.
Yeah.
The roommates were like, okay, Maria, we love you, but this has got to end. I'm like, I know. So then I ended up moving into an apartment. I attempted at all these different places. And I got this personal assistant job for this gentleman who was 28 years old and I was 25. It was out of his home.
Who was he?
He was, I won't name names.
What kind of person was he?
A really good friend of mine who listens to the podcast. I met her because she was his salesperson and she worked out of his office too. The two of us commiserated and had this life together. I was this person doing all the things, getting the groceries, errands, all that stuff. It is a
grind
as a personal assistant.
Grind.
But you do it.
Yeah.
We move forward, but
it's tiring.
It is
personal assistant.
It's tiring.
I had 2 phones. Did you have 2 phones?
No, I just used my phone.
Okay.
But at that point, it was a BlackBerry, I think.
Definitely. I had 2 BlackBerries. But I do miss the BlackBerry.
Do you miss the typing on the BlackBerry?
I do miss the typing on the BlackBerry.
You were doing this personal assistant, but you were also doing events for them. You were at parties.
Lots of it. So she was always hosting something. Okay. I helped with 2 bar mitzvahs. We did birthday parties, dinners. She was a socialite. I was hosting Tory Burch, Eric Ellenbogen, Seinfeld, all the Upper East Siders.
That's amazing.
Cynthia McFadden, anyone in the news world. It was fun, but it was a lot of pressure. She hated me.
Well, you're beautiful.
I think she hated anyone in that seat. She hated me.
How did you just decide you were done with it and ready to do something else?
She would only communicate with me via email.
Are you serious? Wow. How long did the person before you last?
She was there a long time. She was there maybe 5 years, which is a long time.
Okay,
in the assistant world when you're working for someone like that.
That is very long. Mm-hmm. That is grueling. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I left. I was like, I want to just do something more corporate. I didn't want it to be so personal.
Well,
you're in their business. She wasn't nice about me being in her business.
But she needed you there.
She loved me, but wanted to hate me. It was an emotional roller coaster. I'm working weekends. I'm working nights. I'm blamed for everything.
I missed my college graduation because of it. I graduated top of my class from the Fashion Institute, got an award, and I missed it. I believe you. I feel like personal assistants, like, is there a book on this? Who's writing the memoir? You are. You're writing the memoir. I'll add in a couple things, but you're writing the memoir.
Like, someone's got to write that memoir because the anecdotes are crazy.
Yeah. But I will say, we're going back to corporate life because then I went to corporate life afterwards, same as you.
Yeah.
That grind, at least when we were living in the city, because I lived there from 2005 until 2014, so around the same time as you, that grind was serious. There was none of this mental health day. I worked at a huge hedge fund as the accounting assistant for 7 years. You're insane.
This is so not what I see from you, accounting assistant.
No, but this is the funny thing.
What were you wearing to work every day, Maria?
I was doing a full fashion blog on the side. And you worked, there were some nights I was there till 2 a.m. and then had to be back in the office by 7.
Yeah.
And you just did it. It was just what you did. Everyone was doing it at that point.
I will say my job was nice.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. You went from this personal assistant job to
a really nice finance job. We were 7 people in the office. We were not the main office. We had team lunches like twice a week. We did annual meetings at the Breakers.
Oh, get out.
Which I helped plan. We went to Vegas once a year. And then also while I was there was like a 25th year anniversary. They took us all to Miami for the weekend. You could bring your husband. They paid for everything. It was such a cush job, but I always knew I was meant for more. Mm. You know what I mean? Like, I was never really fulfilled. I felt like I was meant for more. I always felt like I was a star a little bit. And I felt like I was kind of just living below my capabilities. But because it was such a good job, because I got paid well, I worked little, I wasn't doing the all-night grind that you hear about. It was so much easier than my personal assistant job. Everyone was nice to me. We were like close. It was hard to leave that. So I was there 8 years.
Yeah, but that happens.
It happens.
Where I worked, we were all friends.
You become family. When you have a nice group, you become family.
You went out together on the weekends.
Yep.
You celebrated people's birthdays together.
Holiday parties.
Yeah, the holiday parties
birthdays.
Were so fun back then. I never experienced this kind of life growing up because my dad worked with his hands. He made things, and my mom was a teacher. So I wasn't aware of this. Like, I saw friends' dads who wore suits to work to San Francisco and were very businessy, but I didn't have that experience. So when I went to this corporate job, the first event I went to was the holiday party on the Intrepid in New York City. For friends and family in California, hi guys, the Intrepid is a giant battleship in the middle of New York City on the West Side Highway in the Hudson. It has all of these gorgeous airplanes on top of it that were used in wars, and it's historical. You walk in there and it's a giant party. Like band.
Were you so impressed?
I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm like,
what were you wearing?
I was wearing a black mini dress.
Naturally.
Black mini dress, because I was like, this is appropriate.
LBD.
Yeah, this is appropriate. I didn't know what else to wear. And I didn't know anyone. I knew like 2 people because I just started there.
Yeah.
And you walk in and I was like a fish out of water. Like I knew I was fine with the people, but what is this life? The second year, we took over the American History Museum.
Oh, okay.
Like, it was like crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy parties. And then there was a huge financial meltdown, and then we didn't have a party after that.
Like 2008. Yeah, that was the crash.
There was no party then. I think we all just went to a bar and drank. That was what we did. It's still fun. You're still with the people.
Fun.
Those types of jobs you become really comfortable in. They get that.
Yeah.
I don't think you were ready.
It's hard to picture it any other way. And looking back at it, I don't really know what I would have done.
So you have New York and you have your first daughter.
Yes.
And then you make your way to Connecticut.
Yes.
And then you move to, what made you choose Fairfield? Was it just like the town you guys liked?
We loved Fairfield. I'm from Old Saybrook, Connecticut originally. My family's still there.
Okay.
And
that's a beautiful space. Old Saybrook's
yeah. In the summer.
Yeah. Everything just dies in the winter.
In the winter there. It's unfortunate because they have potential.
They do. They just need to light everything up. Lights everywhere.
But in the summer it really shines. So we spent a lot of time there in the summer. My husband's from Long Island. So originally we were kind of looking at Westchester. The taxes are bananas. It wasn't for us. So we started exploring more like Southern Connecticut.
And then Fairfield's where you dropped.
And then we dropped in Fairfield. When I had my children, because I'm so passionate about exercise, I became a health coach.
Okay.
I became certified in Pilates during the pandemic. I had this plan to start a health coaching business, a wellness business that was going to focus on really short workouts for moms who has time to drive to SoulCycle, work out for 45 minutes, come home, shower. It feels like a 3-hour ordeal for a 45-minute workout. So I'm like, I want to start creating like these smaller workouts that are high impact, that are Pilates based, and this would be helpful for busy moms and women.
You were literally the one who created this, and now
it's everywhere. This is such a good lesson because I didn't do it.
You were ahead of the curve on
I was
that.
ahead of the curve. When I moved to Connecticut, I felt lost on starting a business. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have friends. I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I didn't have any friends that were entrepreneurs. So I'm like, let me just start this Instagram account and try to meet people.
And that was Business Socialistas. And it just started.
Yeah.
What was your first event for Business Socialistas?
It was January 21. I started the Instagram account.
Yep.
I hosted my first networking event in June of 21.
And how many people were there?
100. I sold 100 tickets.
100 tickets.
In the pandemic.
And
well, at that time, people were craving in-person connection. People wanting to get out of their houses. I also think I was ahead of the curve on this, where I think a lot of people were so used to networking being boring. Mm-hmm. You sat down in a coffee shop next to who knows, trying to cultivate conversation, stuck in your seat with a bagel and stale coffee. It wasn't fun.
No.
I want it to feel like a girls' night out, where we are night outing, but we're also going to have meaning behind it, where we're going to meet other like-minded women who are starting businesses and are in the same phase of life of us. But like, let's dress up. Let's have a fun aspect to it and learn something along the way. That was where it started. That's how it started.
And your last big event, I didn't make it. I was at the one in Fairfield. How many people were at that one?
I sold 200 tickets. I could have sold more. I cut it off at 200. There's always extra people in the room. Photographers, videographers, me, the speakers, who the speakers bring. There's always a little extra.
Your vendors.
Exactly. They bring people. But you also get a little bit of a no-show rate, right? So it kind of lands you.
So what brought you, when you were first doing it, you just had people paying for the event itself.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the membership part of it? Because I am a proud member of Business Socialistas and have met many amazing entrepreneurs through it. And a lot of my friends who are entrepreneurs are in it. Mm-hmm. And it's just this great community of women If you need something, you launch it into the atmosphere of Business Socialistas and someone's bound to reply to it. It's great.
Thank you.
So what brought you to the membership platform of it?
Well, I was hosting events, like workshops and networking events. And I'm like, okay, but what's happening in between these events, right? How am I going to better connect this community so that it's not just, you meet someone at a networking event, you don't meet the whole room. So how am I going to better connect this community? I started a membership where it's just more connection, more intimate meetups, education, resources, and a way for people, like you said, if you need something, if you have a question, you have this backbone behind you for it.
I've been a member of other there was a mom's group, but that was more for kids. And then there was a group that brought women who were moms and working together. They never did anything for me personally in my business. Some of it felt contrived. I didn't like that aspect of it. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like I wanted to be there. Whereas your events, I'm like, crap, I can't make it. I get really frustrated because I want to be there and be a part of it. And I think that's something that you do that's very special in how you run these. Like, you don't get that everywhere. I've done many of these things. I've been a part of them, and yours never feels like that. I never get to tell you this.
That's nice.
It doesn't, and people want to be there because of the atmosphere and the community that you've created.
Thank you.
It's all very supportive at talking.
I think we attract who we are, and that's part of it. And I think that Socialistas has never really been about anything other than community. And I think what you see a lot of times, a different profession, and then they start these other groups on the side, and it's their side thing. And with the hopes that it yields into their main thing is what I've noticed is very common. And this is my only thing. This is what it's all about, is creating community and giving the Socialistas the support that they need so that they can live and feel their best.
And you do events, but you're also doing work days where you can go into a certain place and work together. Co-working. You're also bringing in experts who will have an hour-long conversation with whoever can join in, giving them tidbits of help.
Yeah.
Just giving it to them.
That part's crazy.
But it's also so beneficial to not only your organization, but also the people that are giving their expertise. I think people like to talk about what they know.
Yes, and it's a great opportunity for a lot of the experts to come in and talk about what they're doing, because these are potential customers for them. It's a collaboration that is mutually beneficial for both parts.
Yeah. And it's all very positive. There's no swing in it.
And it's a judgment-free zone.
The people are coming in, they're like, this is what I'm giving. If you like it, great. There's not some hook in the end.
Right.
Which makes it so much more honest. Some of these things are very dishonest, and it's frustrating because you want to be a part of it and be supportive, but you're also in your back of your mind going, what are they going to ask me for in the end?
Oh, yeah, those are the worst.
I don't want any part of those.
Those are the worst.
If I needed it, I'll find it.
One of the things I want to start doing more of is helping business owners create their own community. Community is turned into a buzzword now.
Yes.
It's almost like, and it's very fluid. Like, well, is that follower count?
But followers aren't necessarily the ones that are your community.
Well, that's so interesting. There's this article about this blogger who had 500,000 followers, and she launched some t-shirt line, and she couldn't sell 36 t-shirts.
They're not the community.
Right, because they're not connected to her. She couldn't sell
36
anything.
t-shirts.
It really goes to show you that who's going to listen to this podcast? Your community. Right,
Absolutely.
that's where it's going to start. Who comes to my events? My community. And I think even for business owners, when they're posting to social media and they're like, crickets, why is no one engaging with my posts? Why am I trying to host an anniversary event at my office and no one's coming?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is such an important thing to think about in our businesses, is why aren't they coming and what are you doing about it? And I think ultimately, because the world is so congested and foggy and there's so much content and creation and we're consuming at such a huge rapid rate, I think connection is where things need to go now.
They're missing that connection.
They're missing it.
Oh, it's so true.
People are confused how to create it.
Yeah. I noticed this too with the schools. You have little girls.
Yes.
They're in elementary school.
Yes.
And I have a 7th grader.
Okay.
And at our middle school, we brought in yonder pouches, which are these pouches with a magnet, and you put all of your devices at the minute you walk in the door in the morning, whether it's off the bus or you've been dropped off. They have to put their devices in this yonder pouch, magnetize it, show the admin that they've done it, and their phone or watch is out of their hands and out of their mind until the bell rings at 2:30.
Like it.
It has completely changed the community of the school. The kids are actually having conversations with each other. They're forced to, but they're doing it. The administration is like, this has been a game changer. The kids sit in cafeteria instead of diving on their phone. And if they're, quiet and not really social, they dive into their phone and they just disappear. Well, those kids are able to actually look up and see a face and talk to that person. They're talking about stuff. They're playing games. They're chatting at lunch. They have started to connect, and their community is stronger for it. And that is very telling in my mind that they are also craving that connection because they don't get it. And I'm a culprit. Like, my husband puts my phone in the kitchen drawer and he calls that my yonder pouch now. And he's like, "You're done? I need you to communicate with me now. Your phone is in this yonder pouch."
Our whole lives now are on the phone. I mean, we're grocery shopping on the phone. We're banking on the phone. It's crazy. I'm not just chatting all the time on the phone. I mean, sometimes I'm like working on the phone.
Yes, I have to tell them that
family
too.
admin, I agree. Connecting with others, it's so emotional, right? Like, people even are purchasing from emotions.
Yes. I mean, culprit.
Yeah.
Instagram's really good with their...
Well, anything that's getting emotional, anything that touches your emotions, you're interacting with, and it's pushing it to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get corgis and Australian Shepherds and shopping and fashion. And moms who have lost their mind and are talking about it on Instagram.
Right.
That's my algorithm. Yeah. And if you say the word penis enough over and over again, something about a penis will pop up.
Well, now that you're saying that, we're going to get porn on the phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's done it.
Well, now it just hears you out in the universe.
I want to talk about your latest endeavor, which was the Shark Tank. I want you to explain how the Shark Tank happened and where it came from. So Ashley did a local Shark Tank and had these amazing judges on and 4 entrepreneurs.
5.
Oh, 5.
5 pitching.
One of them won the big prize, and then one of them won the community prize or the fan favorite prize. I didn't get to be there because I had another event that night. I was so bummed because what an incredible, empowering moment, not just for you, but for all of the people you put on that stage and gave them a platform to talk about what they love and are passionate for. And these aren't big businesses. These are all small local women who hustle and work hard and don't always get the recognition or the monetary backing. And this was an opportunity for them.
Yeah, well, it was a pitch night for local female entrepreneurs. And there was a $5,000 cash prize that was sponsored by Cakes Body.
Yes, I was wearing mine yesterday. My cakes.
I'm in mine right now.
I love them. They're
Shout
great.
out to Taylor and Cakes.
I have all my clients buy them.
It's bananas.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
It's crazy. So how did it come to be? 2 years ago, I was hosting a money workshop, and all the girls were pulling their cakes out of their bras. And they're like, "You're not going to believe this product." I'm like, "Oh my God, I haven't heard of it." They're like, "She's a Fairfield girl." I'm like, "She is?" We had a lovely coffee and cakes at the time. It was like 2 years ago. So both of us were starting out. You could tell she had a great product and everyone was obsessed with it, but you never know. And we kind of kept in touch. And over the years, we've become friendly. And then she went on Shark Tank.
Yep.
And I was so wildly inspired by, and then I think to myself, how could we do this locally? How can we have this? How can I do it, And so the wheel started turning. And about a year later, I was telling her about it. And I was like, "I'm going to do this pitch night. I feel so inspired by you. And I want to do this." And she was like, "Oh, let me see if I can get involved." She follows up with me and she's like, "We'd like to sponsor the $5,000 small business grant." And I'm like, now I got to do it. And it was such an inspiring night for everyone. I think the judges were inspiring. I think the pitchers blew everyone away. I had 50 applications in 2 weeks. People wanted it. For all the pitching contestants, it was so much more than just about winning. It was about marketing your business to everyone in the room that night.
Yeah.
Making, connection, building their community, having whoever follows them on social media follow along with the journey, feel more connected to them, showing up. People had their brand fans and loyalists in the audience, which was cool. And I think we were all so surprised by how well everyone did. Not that I thought anyone was going to do bad, but they took it so seriously. They made me so proud. And I think it was a great opportunity for everyone involved. And I had a speaker there also. Michelle Garside came and she did a connection activity. All of my events have connection activities to breed that community, because you come to a networking event, you don't necessarily meet as many people as you'd like. It's hard to break the ice. It's hard to talk to someone you don't usually know. So it was great. I do feel good about it. Thank you.
Will you do it again?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I was hoping you'd say that.
I will.
So amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one. I will mark my calendar soon when you have it.
I gotta figure that out.
So I know not to do anything that night. What's next after this?
I want to help more businesses build their own community, because I think that's really where the secret sauce is for success.
Yeah.
And I think that it builds brand fans, loyals. It's like an automatic referral network, right? To have a community. And so that's what's next for me, is to do more of that.
Okay. I love that. At the end of every episode, I ask 3 questions to all my guests. The first question is there something that you've changed your mind about recently?
Yes. I want to say no more.
It's a big theme of the last few conversations I've had with women.
Really?
Yes. Is we're getting to the age where our time is in other places. Our kids, our husbands, our friendships.
Our communities.
Right?
Yeah.
It's now you want to create the space to give more to that.
Yes. I think I also, like, even from a business perspective, I used to say yes to every coffee, every get together, every event I'm invited to. You always feel in the name of growth, you have to say yes to everything. But I think I'm trying to be smarter about what I'm saying yes to and do more that's aligned for me, rather than just like this frantic yes world.
Absolutely.
So, which takes, it's not easy.
No, it takes years. It takes years. And you're younger than I am. And it takes years to finally get to that point. But it's very refreshing and very empowering to be able to do that. And then when the yes is right, because it hits.
Yes.
And it feels differently than the yeses that were like, I got to do that. I should be there.
And really empowering, I think, your listeners to be able to say no. Like, I want to, I'm really trying to stand in that truth. And also, I feel like what's happened is you get a lot of like ghosting now.
Oh, yeah.
This whole epidemic, I had a reel go viral on this because I was throwing shade out into the world about it, where so many people don't want to say no, so they just don't answer. Feeling empowered to say no is the right thing to do, because whoever's on the other end would rather you just respond and be honest.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like if you're doing all the yeses, all of those places are not getting the 100% of you.
Right.
You want to be able, the other person deserves to have the 100% of you, because they're giving their 100% to whatever they asked you to be a part of.
Yes.
So you got to choose them correctly.
Absolutely.
That's so true. What is the most random thing on your bucket list?
Oh, I haven't thought about a bucket list much lately. I feel like I'm so in the present. I have to be honest. I feel like I am so in the present these days. I'm really trying to spend my time with my kids when I'm with my kids. I'm trying to focus on my business in the now and not get overwhelmed with what's to do or what the future is. I'm trying to like be now. I really am. Like, that is something specifically this fall that I've been doing. So I have not been thinking about my bucket list as much as one might think.
I love that answer. I think that's brilliant. I wish that all of us could sit in the now a little bit more.
A big thing for me this fall is not trying to get overwhelmed with the future and all the things I want or need to do, but just like, what are we doing right now? Because I think a lot of growth really happens in the small steps.
Yeah.
It's just like about the little steps that turn into the big thing. But a lot of times we get so preoccupied with the end result, the big thing, that it becomes so overwhelming. We never get there.
It's so good.
That's where I am now.
So good. Okay. I love that.
Okay.
I love
that's
that.
the truth.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
That's what that question should evoke. If you have something you really want to do, you answer that. If it doesn't, that's the best answer.
That's the realest answer.
So my last question is, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Take the risk. Follow your gut. Just do the damn thing. I feel
yes,
like big time. Following my gut is something I've been really focusing on in my more recent years. I don't remember my parents emphasizing that enough growing up. What do I actually want to do? What is next for me? Everyone talks about my platform and what I've built, especially after an event like that. People are like, what's next for you? What do you do? And I'm like, what do I want to do with this?
Yeah.
You know, there's many different things I could do or avenues to take it. But what is going to excite me the most? And sometimes it's hard for me to think about that. Also, becoming a mom, doing what you think is best for your kid, not what your aunt is saying or your friend did with her child. It's like really listening to your gut, and becoming a mom is what really honed down on that for me.
Absolutely. That gut instinct is real. The feeling there.
And I wish I did more following that. And like when I knew, for example, I was destined for more professionally, I wish I took the leap and I became the instructor, or I took the leap and like looked for another job and did something that wasn't just easy.
Yeah. There's a difference in, I want to do this. I'm scared to do this, but this is the right direction. And then there's the, this doesn't feel right. This feels icky.
Yes.
And those are the two things that are discerning. You have to figure out which side. I've been asked to do stuff and I'm like, that doesn't sit right. Nope. I'm going to put that one over there. But this feels right. And this is scary. This is how the podcast became a podcast. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I sat with this feeling because I've been doing a lot of sitting and creating space
Yep.
for the things I want and attracting. Because I really believe in the universe does things. The amount of number ones and twos and combinations over the last 2 years has been crazy. The universe is saying what it needs to tell me. And I'm like, this is time.
We had coffee.
I told you. And then, oh my God, I never told you this. You posted something about having an idea and not doing it. And then you had a speaker about getting your idea to actually come to fruition. When you wrote that, I was like, fuck.
I'm talking to you.
This is me. We just had coffee. And I told you I wanted to do a podcast. And I haven't done it yet. That sat with me. And I really liked that because my girlfriends were like, you're going to do it. And I'm like nervous. There's so many out there. What's mine going to be? It's like you get all the negativity that's just like smacking you in the face. And then I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. I have an idea. I went to dinner and we were all drunk on martinis. It was a fabulous steak dinner. And I'm sitting at the table and I was like, guys, I'm starting a podcast. And they were all like, yes. What are we calling it? One of my friends was like, I'm going to fund you. I'm like, oh my God, I love you. We've all had too many martinis. No one's going to fund me. But they all felt it.
Sometimes saying it out loud is so powerful. We all have these thoughts that we think about and sit on. But when you really speak them out into the universe, it holds you accountable.
And then if it's right, the universe started sending me random signs.
Yeah.
Like all the time. I remember texting Anne from 1111 and I was sending her pictures of the numbers all together in a row and she'd send me stars because there's something about it. The universe knows.
It's true.
And the gut knows. You just have to listen to it.
Well, that's why you need your community, like your friends, right? Where you're telling them what you're doing and they're giving you that positive reinforcement. Like, this is a good idea. And you're talking about names and it's like, okay, this is hitting. People are excited and it helps.
Yeah. So how does your husband support you? You have 2 beautiful little girls.
Thanks.
How is the support there?
I think he loves it. You know, he loves that I have my own thing in a supportive type of way. I think he's really supportive. I think he's proud of me.
Yeah.
Comes to all my events. He's like him and my dad.
Oh, love dads. So cute.
Are always like the only men in the room, which is sweet. And yeah, I think he's excited. I think he is happy to see me do something that I love and am enthusiastic about.
You need that support at home.
Yeah, you do. He listens to my ideas, sometimes more passionately than others.
Yes.
Just being honest.
Seriously.
Sometimes you're like, oh, okay, Ash, like, he listens to the ideas.
Ben here listens to every podcast.
That's nice.
Yeah. He listens to every podcast, tells me what he thinks.
Yeah.
It's super sweet.
Super sweet.
He indulges me.
Yeah, and I'm sure you do the same for him.
Absolutely. I listen to everything he has.
Yeah, I'm very invested in Adam's business.
And
emotionally and mentally.
Yes, I always listen. I'm also very curious because what Ben does is he analyzes retail for a living. So,
oh, he does.
Yeah, he's a retail.
You guys
analyst.
are retail people.
Yeah, our first fight was over JCPenney.
No. What about JCPenney? What is there to fight?
This was many years ago. Mm-hmm. This was when all the JCPenney's were still around.
Yeah.
And we were on the train back from Rhode Island. He was looking at JCPenney, and I'm like, oh, that company, forget it. It's going downhill. Nobody shops there. And he goes, what do you mean nobody shops there? I'm like, no one, it's done. He goes, I disagree with you. And we were both right because it lasted a little bit longer, but then it completely fell apart. We were both right. It's important to have that sense of support in your house because it would be very difficult.
Our professions take up such a huge part of our lives. I'm not working 9 to 5, 40 hours a week right now, but think about that time consumption. It monopolizes your brain. Adam is also an entrepreneur and owns his own business. You don't really shut these things off. Like, our businesses are our passion, so we're always thinking about them. Yeah. One of the things that surprises me most about being an entrepreneur is how much I think about my business.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I don't think when I started this, I was going to be so consumed on a mental level about what I'm doing and analyzing myself, and not necessarily always in a bad way, but like, how am I going to make it better next time? Shark Tank was such a success. I agree. But don't think that I'm not like, well, I would have done this a little bit differently. And next time we're going to do this instead. And how can I make this go faster? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like I'm possessed or depressed, but I am thinking about it all the time.
All the time. I joke about the brain capacity. When I'm asked about something, I honestly don't have the brain capacity today to think about it. Can you give me till tomorrow to put my brain into that question?
Adam says, he's like, it's not that I don't want to help you, but right now, mentally, I just know that I can't.
My brain is filled.
And I'm like, but I need you to tell me right now.
This was amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Always have fun.
It goes by so fast. You've been talking for an hour.
Is that true? Yeah. You know me. I'll talk someone's ear off. I'll never stop.
Thank you so much for joining me today on She's Smart. New episodes drop every Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Stay cozy.